Pixel Sprites and Nonsense. Sorry for for last week. We had some stuff, so it didn't really happen last week. But we're back with Metzman
Hello.
and Benjiro.
Hello.
All right, and of course me, Vash. And yeah, this week we're going to talk a bit about underrated games that deserve more attention or more critical success, maybe, and well, some other new stuff, but mostly those games. So roll the intro.
Here we go. And we're back.
Welcome back, everyone. So let's start off as usual with what did we play last week? Metzman, I thought you had a lot. So
Yeah, well, it's been 2 weeks, and I've been like doing different things. The first thing on my list is because it was Star Wars Day a while back now, but May the 4th. And I
Makes
thought,
sense,
well,
yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna live stream one of my favorite Star Wars games, and which was Dark Forces, the original Dark Forces. And yeah, I just love that game. It's a classic. It was one of the games that was released in the sort of the Doom clone era. Yeah, it was made by LucasArts, of course, and one of the good things about this game is that it is kind of like Doom in the sense of that you have a level and you have to basically in this game you have to complete objectives instead of just finding the exit. So LucasArts kind of made it a little bit more cinematic in its approach, in that it's not just finding keys and finding the exit and killing monsters like in Doom. You actually had some objectives to complete, which was usually fairly simple, like flipping a switch or picking up a special item. And then at the end, if you completed your mission objectives, you could just end the mission then and there. Sometimes you had to get back to your ship, or after a mission completed, sometimes just completing the mission itself would be enough, and you could just press escape and do next mission. It's kind of a unique kind of way, not like an end level button or anything. But yeah, it featured a pretty interesting story. And it had cutscenes, animated cutscenes. It had its iMuse system, which means that the music is dynamic. It like changes during
the first games, I think.
No. iMuse was used in the LucasArts Adventure games,
Right.
Very early on, already in Monkey Island. And they basically just incorporated it in this game as well. So if you're just exploring, there's just a main theme to the level. And as soon as you encounter enemies or fight enemies, it will like go into combat music, basically.
Yeah.
Giving you this Star Wars feel to it, basically. It had a completely original score, of course, in a MIDI format. It's like a MIDI composed. But yeah, I had a lot of fun diving back into the game. I used this. It's a mod basically called the Force Engine. Or you call it a source port, which is basically like a shell where you can load up the original files of the game, and it has all kinds of modern, basically remaster features. So it has high resolutions, it has widescreen, it has complete mouse and keyboard controls, so you can play it like a modern shooter. And yeah, it's very nice to play it this way. It's what a remaster would be like, basically.
Right.
And you're running that on top of the GOG version, or how are you running it?
Yeah, I think this is the Steam, because I have both.
Okay.
But I think I'm running on this is the Steam version. It basically what you do is you install it in wherever you have Dark Forces installed.
Right.
And it's very simple. You just install the files or copy the files to that folder, and you can just run the X file, and you will open up. You have like a whole interface where you can even like choose different sound cards for your music, because of course back in the day we had different MIDI.
Sound Blaster
We said
16.
Yep.
Sound Blaster 16, AWE 32.
Yeah.
They have all these different sound cards that had like
Yeah.
different sounds to MIDI music.
Yeah.
So you can even like choose like the so-called sound fonts, as they are called.
Those were the days.
Yeah. And so yeah, you can even do that, and they're upgrading more features. I saw some people like working on like voxel mods, so that every
Oh.
object and thing is like semi 3D and stuff. So people are
Mhm.
like
Yeah, because these
like
are
expanding
2D
upon it.
models of the troopers
Yeah.
right now. They're currently
They're sprites. It's of course
sprites, yeah.
this was 19. This is by the way on the video now. If you could see that, there's one of the secrets that I never found. I found in this playthrough, which is
wow.
across here where you have to jump into a thing. It's because there's a switch, and I never
Yeah.
understood what it did, and now I found it. So
Yeah.
it was fun finding a little thing.
Nice.
But yeah, I played that for I think 2 days. I also played it on a pretty hard difficulty, just hard basically. I think it's the hardest. I'm not sure, and I got my ass handed to it, especially the last half of the campaign. It kind of gets crazy.
Yeah.
There's like like the level where I am now, where I stopped playing is you get captured by Jabba the Hutt, and oh wait, let me do this. This is different. Never mind. You get captured by Jabba the Hutt, and what happens is they take all your weapons away, and you have to fight a Kel dragon, which is like a big beast, with your bare hands.
All right.
And
so sort of like Luke fighting a bantha. Or was it a rancor? Sorry,
Rancor.
Yeah.
Kind of
Wow.
like in the same vein. Yeah, I think that they took inspiration from that scene, basically.
I
And,
definitely lost some nerd points just now.
I think you did, yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Well, goodbye nerd pass.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta revoke now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very hard game, especially also in the level that's shown on the video now. Is I had to do a lot of times because there's these enemies that use a special weapon that you also can get yourself, which is like a big shockwave. So even if you're like running behind cover, if the weapon gets shot to close to you, it like creates this shockwave which kills you basically. So it is as soon as you see the enemies, you basically have to rethink or try to flank them or do something.
Right.
Very difficult. So I got my ass
getting
handed to
hit.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I played.
You
Still
guys
love
want?
the game.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
Yeah.
Classic.
You guys want to know a little small detail? The first time I played this game years and years ago, because I actually had a hard copy back in the day, I didn't know it was Star Wars because I was not into Star Wars back when I played this game for the first time, so I had no idea. And years later, it actually dawned on me like, oh my god, that was a Star Wars game. It was good though, I enjoyed it, but
It was a good game. Yeah.
I had no feeling with the source material, so I had no idea. I just thought it was another Doom clone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's also because there's no Jedi or anything. It's that's one of the things I really love about this game. And of course the sequels all went to Jedi territory.
Yeah.
But I personally, looking back, I think this was more interesting because it would take you like to places like Nar Shaddaa, which is like this huge city, vertical city planet thing. Oh, here's why I die. And it was like more underground. It was all blasters and very interesting weapons that you never seen in Star Wars before, which are probably now not canon anymore because even like the original, like the very first mission you do in this game is stealing the Death Star plans.
Right.
And the funny thing is that they brought back things from this game into the modern Star Wars canon.
Yeah.
For example, your pilot is called Jan Ors, which is then later became Jyn Orso in Rogue One, and which is helps you steal the Death Star plans, which is kind of funny. And the main plot around Dark Forces revolves around the Dark Troopers, which are big giant robots basically. And what do you know? In The Mandalorian, there is one episode where they, what's all about the Dark Troopers, or a few actually. And even one of the characters says a line from Dark Forces. It's a little different, but it's like he says release the Dark Troopers or something.
Yeah.
And that was like, I was immediately like, I got a little goosebumps when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, they basically just took things from Dark Forces and took it into the Mandalorian.
That was a nice throwback. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool to see that. I always loved that when they try to bring back like the old stuff.
Mhm.
So maybe we'll get Dash Rendar and we'll get other characters from other Star Wars games back later. That would be cool.
Yeah,
so Dark Forces, very cool game. It's still great today. Very creative use of mission objectives, and there's even like some cool tech stuff in there as well. Like they have 3D models in this game, which you wouldn't see in a Doom game. Like the ship that picks you up, you would really see it fly in full 3D. There's even like a TIE fighter dock somewhere where you see TIE fighters fly in and out and stuff like that. It's really cool. But yeah, I'm just very enthusiastic about this game because it's one of my favorite Star Wars games.
It's a great classic.
And after that, I finished because I finished Mario Galaxy 1. Of course, I started Mario Galaxy 2. And that was really good. Mario Galaxy 2 immediately from the very first few levels immediately throws in new mechanics and everything. Like I was kind of I was really curious going from Mario Galaxy 1 now that I finally finished it, going to 2 to see what did they do with the sequel, because I knew that Yoshi was in it, right? That's the main thing that's on the box art. But beyond that, I was really curious, what are they gonna do with the planets and the mechanics, and are they gonna add new power-ups and it's been really cool to see what they did. Like there's so much new stuff in there. Like I said, like from the very first levels, you immediately get new mechanics. There's a drill thing that you can pick up, which lets you drill from one side of a planetoid to the other. So you have to think about how do enemies move, and there's a whole boss battle that works with it, which is really cool. Where you have to like time your like drill moment basically, and stuff like that. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm still I'm like, what is it, 25 stars in or something. I'm going I'm going for all the extra stars that you can do, the what do you call it, the Daredevil's star comets things, and those are really challenging. Like
the purple comet.
Yeah, the purple stuff, the purple comet. Very challenging stuff, but of course you have to kind of expect that. Where they add a twist to a certain level that you've played before, which is really fun. And I've been this one. Wait, can I see that on the thing? Nah, I think I did it here. There's what else to talk about? I think it's just a very good example of that. Nintendo never misses with their Mario games. They just know how to make a good feel, cheerful and creative game, and they just never miss. It's always high quality. So I will keep playing that as well. I think I might play more tomorrow on stream and see whatever more creative stuff they'll bring to the table. After that, I finally finished all of the blood stuff. So
you did it.
I did it. I do have to say that I kind of got a little bit tired of the game. I think also because it's like with my Shadow Warrior playthrough. After a while, especially like the later episodes, they're a little bit not very creative. Some of the levels just become a little bit simple. And also because I was playing on the so-called well done difficulty, which is pretty high difficulty, the game is really hard, and it kind of like demotivates like me. It was kind of getting a little annoying. Basically, like every fight situation, I had to like save beforehand, and then hope that I survive the fight so I can go to the next, and then I had to save again. Because not only because of the enemies that are like really hard to kill, like they take like way too much damage, like they're really spongy. Also because a lot of the heavy weapons, like this napalm launcher, they do a lot of splash damage in close quarters. So if you accidentally like hit a close wall or anything, you're just dead.
Yeah,
Like
sucks.
you instantly kill yourself.
The sticks of dynamite, exactly.
Yeah, stuff like
Not just
that.
splash damage. Yeah.
But also, the enemies. We mentioned them before. They're the gargoyles, and then there's the silver gargoyles, which every time I see one, I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. Just basically,
Right.
I don't want to deal with you right now.
Yeah.
Sorry,
They can be tough.
Just I don't want to deal with you right now.
Yeah,
Please leave me
exactly.
alone.
And then you get like two at the same time because they think they're funny. So no. At the end, like I got a little bit tired of it, but I just kept on trucking. I thought I do want to finish this. I want to get the achievements to finish all the levels and stuff. And I managed to cheese the end boss.
No.
Because the end boss is like three of the like red colored monks that then turn out to be big ass werewolves, and
cool.
you have to defeat all of them. And they have like this AOE damage attack that as soon as you get close to them, they basically just do this sort of ground stomp thing, which basically just kills you.
Right.
So that was really hard. But what I did is I kited them like in the platform. I was standing on top of a platform, and I let them chase me, and then I went on the platform, and then they couldn't like get to me. Okay. So I was just like dumping dynamites over the edge and stuff until they died. So that's how I won the game. But yeah, it's I think like the first 3 episodes are fine. But yeah, I think even though the style of the game is really cool and I like how it moves and how it's animated, I think it's out of the 3 build engine games, Duke Nukem, Shadow Warrior, and Blood. Sorry, I think it might be my least favorite. But maybe it's also because I played it on a very high difficulty level, because I think that really changed the game for me, basically. And as a kid, I usually played on lower difficulties. Like easy was usually my standard, because I didn't really care about it being difficult. I just cared about playing the game.
Right. But that should be a thing, right? It shouldn't matter on what difficulty you play. It just matters if you're having fun.
Right. So in this case, I later said to myself, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have gone and tried to challenge myself because I'm older and I'm a veteran gamer. And I thought, I can probably handle it because it's an older FPS and I've gotten so good now. And nope, this game will still punish you really hard. But it's mostly because of how bullet spongy the enemies get. So.
Okay.
That was Blood, and I got more games because I've been going for a bit.
You're on a holiday. You don't have to go to your job, so I get it. You play a lot of games right now. That's fine.
Yeah, I had a few things that I could start up and check out. So next up, Hawken decided to come back.
Yeah.
It's and the first thing that came to my mind was, of course, okay, they're doing this because of Armored Core, which is coming out in a bit. And, they thought, well, you know what? We can just re-release this game in a free-to-play form, and we'll just do PvE for now, for probably ever, because they say they don't want to focus on PvP multiplayer content. For some reason, because the first thing I thought when I heard it's coming back was, we're going to have a multiplayer PvP mech game, alongside Armored Core, which is mostly focused on single player.
Yep.
Yeah.
But no, they went PvE, and which is weird because now it's a free-to-play PvE mech game where you start off with. It's one of those games that throws you instantly into the tutorial the first time you start it, which I hate. I usually like to have my games start at the menu so I can set up the graphics and all that. And that's where the problems kind of begin with this game.
Oh, okay. There's more problems than just the one we talked about.
So the first thing I noticed is there's a very low FOV, field of view,
Oof.
and you cannot change this.
No.
It is so low that I don't think I've seen that low of FOV in a game in a long time, like as a standard FOV, where everything just feels like you're very close up. So
Right.
you feel very cramped, and you're already in a mech, so that doesn't help very much.
Isn't that the reason they actually did that? Because they wanted to make you feel cramped inside a metal box.
Yeah, maybe.
It,
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's a good choice, but that might have
Yeah.
been the reason.
There might have been a reason, but I don't think it works for this game. It's just very jarring, and I had like it actually makes it difficult to navigate, because one of the things of this mech game is it's like Armored Core. It's a very fast-paced mech game, so you're like boosting around and you're jumping high up, and if you just jump in like away in this game and you turn around, sometimes you just don't know where you are. Like it's that bad.
Yeah, so you have no oversight or anything.
No, you kind of lose where like the oversight a bit. So that was one of the first things I noticed. Then the second one is I play with a controller, because I already heard that there were some bad things, like having mouse speed. You cannot change your mouse speed for your mouse look, and it's like very high by default. There is actually in the options there is mouse speed options, but they don't work. So if you can drag them all the way to the left, and you'll still be at very high mouse speed, which is terrible. Like people then say, "Oh, just turn down your mouse DPI and it'll be fine." I'm like, no, people don't want to do that. They want to change the game to their preference. Also, the game doesn't pause. That's another thing. It's a single-player game, and you can't pause the game. So if you go to your options, it's all like you can see it on the video. It's an integrated menu on your, like a tab basically, in the game, where you have to put all your settings. And you can also not control the menu with your mouse. You have to do everything with your arrow keys and enter button, or with the controller, of course, if you use that. So it feels like it's all built for console, basically, including the FOV, of course.
Right.
But yeah, what I suspect is that they just threw this game out as soon as possible, just to start building their audience. Because when this game is like fully fledged, it's of course now in early access. They want to have that audience, basically. They just want to grab a little bit of money, basically, from the people who are interested in mech games now because of Armored Core. So that's what I suspect, at least. But in terms of gameplay, it's okay, I guess. You fight soldiers, which of course are very puny little men, and you shoot them and they die. And some of them have sniper rifles or bigger weapons, but they're not a real big threat. And then, of course, you have the other mechs that just spawn in from random locations.
Right.
I only did like a few missions, like story-driven missions. But that was another thing, that I didn't care for the story at all. Like from the very first intro cinematic, which is like this art style stuff thingy that
there's some thing about that.
Yeah, that some people think that it might have been AI.
A lot of people were thinking that. So
yeah, I'm not sure about that yet.
The developers,
yeah, I'm not sure if they did, but yeah, there's there's a doctor character that looks a little bit off.
Yeah, that's
like, looks like that kind of AI art, like perfectionist model look. So I was like,
waxy look.
Yeah, very waxy look.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like someone drew it by hand. It definitely looked like someone imported a photograph, at least, and then made it like look a little bit more artsy, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, the story is just there's a lot of technical terms and story-specific vocabulary thrown at you at the beginning, and I was like, okay. The only thing I knew was, okay, I'm a pilot. I crashed on this planet, and now I'm being helped by random people, and we're apparently fighting a war against other people. That's the only thing I got out of it. I just wanted to
Alright.
see what the gameplay was like, basically. So I didn't care too much, but it doesn't really grab you, I'd say.
Right.
But yeah, no, the gameplay is not that bad. Like, of course, they had the original game's skeletal structure still, so they could just build upon that, basically. But yeah, it's just like you collect all kinds of resources while you're battling from fallen mechs and soldiers and stuff. And with that, you can craft new weapons for your mech, new parts, new jetpack accessories, and all that stuff. And that's, I think, how you build up your mech, basically, in the single player.
Right.
And then apparently there's also like a sort of a free roam, open worldish kind of mode that gets harder the longer you stay, which I thought sounded interesting. But then there was a guy that came in my channel who knew about this game, and then he said, "Well, don't play that mode because apparently it could crash your game in a way that the only way to fix your game is to contact the developers." So
wow.
Wow.
yeah, that's another
That's
thing.
very
Another thing
bad.
they have to. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna try that mode then. Yeah, so I played for like I think an hour, 2, 3, just to get the basics and just to get an idea of the game. And then I thought, okay, yeah, enough. I'm gonna turn it off and I'm gonna see what happens with this later. I think there is a solid foundation for something fun, but there's a lot of things they have to do to make it a good game. Like, it's not the worst game in the world, but all the quality of life stuff has to be improved. All the options have to be, functional, and then maybe it's a good game. But yeah, I just think they threw it out too early. So,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then that was it for Hawken, I guess. Then the last game I played is there's a boomer shooter. It was been worked on for a while. It was in early access, and now it's finally out. There's like 3 episodes, and they released the last one. And it's a game called Rot. Basically, it's a very brown shooter. It's basically like has a Quake style aesthetic. And it's if you played one of the other modern boomer shooters that came out from New Blood, you kind of know what to expect. So if you played Dusk or any of those games that try to bring back this kind of type of shooter, then you kind of know what to expect.
Yeah.
Also, basically in the vein of Blood and Duke Nukem and Shadow Warrior mixed with a little bit of Quake.
Yeah.
A lot of exploration, finding secrets.
It also has that very basic aesthetic to it, like Quake.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's very bulky. It's very low polygon, low poly counts. How you call it?
Yeah, low poly count. Yeah.
And but yeah, it's a very fluid game. Yeah, flat textures. There's no fancy graphics going on. That's like that's with these games you don't have to expect that. It's all about bringing back that old design of having one big level and trying to find a way to the exit, basically, and as many secrets as possible. I like finding secrets. I've discussed this before. So I have like the stats on. You can see on the top right in this video here. And some of the secrets are really hard to find, as I discovered. So I had to I kind of wanted to go through the game a little bit fast. So what I did is if I only had like 1 or 2 secrets left, I would, there's like a special guide for secrets where you can get a hint. So they don't tell you where it is exactly, but you can there's like different gradations or different levels. So you have the first vague hint and then you have a more detailed hint.
Yeah.
And then if you don't get it by then there's like the full explanation.
Right.
So
and that costs points or?
No. It's not in game. It's
just a website.
It's just external, like on the Steam forums, basically.
Got it.
I've seen that with other games as well. It's an interesting way of doing things. Like it can just point you in the right direction instead of just telling you blatantly.
Yeah. I mean, I hate it in walkthroughs that people just tell blatantly what's going on.
Yeah.
So I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it have a nail gun though?
No, it does not have a nail gun. It's more traditional weaponry. It's trying to be like a little bit. It's like fantasy Russia, That's what I call it. There's some very absurd things in the game, like some floating head monsters, and I got there's some out of nowhere. There's an attack helicopter, and it's just on these very small maps. It's really funny. There's a lot of humor as well. There's a lot of little things and interactive, funny things. Like there's one of those little what do you call it? Dolls that go inside other dolls.
Oh,
Matrushkas.
Is it Matrushka? Yeah, like that. You can pop it open to and then pop it back on. Like little interactive elements like that. There's a full keyboard in the game that I played on with today, where you can even select different what do you call it? Different instruments on it. So you can switch instruments. So you can play just on the keyboard.
That's kind
of funny. I thought maybe there was a secret tied to that, but there isn't, sadly.
I do feel that these games should support RTX. Just like Quake RTX, the lighting makes the game look a lot better, even though it's very very basic and very much a throwback to those 90s shooters. But I do feel RTX with the lighting effects and certain particle effects really elevate the grayness of this entire game.
Yeah, I think yes, maybe. I could see something like that, have at least reflective water or something, and stuff like that. There's also some very odd things in this game, like there's a bike here that you can drive. I think later in the game there's an actual section where you fully utilize that, like a vehicle section or something. But they just throw stuff like that in there, and you can destroy a lot of things as well, random objects. Sometimes they reveal other secrets and things. So what was it? I was going to say something, and then I got my train of thought kicked out of me.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I lost it myself. No, but I was talking about the oddity stuff. There's sometimes weird things where you go inside a building, and then the windows that look from inside to outside are different than when you look from outside to inside.
Okay. Right. So they use completely different textures.
Well, it's not even different texture. It's like a complete window. So you're still gonna look outside, but the window shape is completely different than when you look from outside.
Interesting.
Basically.
Right.
And then I don't know if that's just like a little like a design flaw that I thought, okay, we're gonna need windows from the inside. Let's just do this instead of mirroring what is outside, so it looks like it's inside. I don't know. Little weird things like that, but overall, it's a very fun shooter. It follows that standard boomer shooter aesthetic and the design for discovery and things, collecting keys, opening doors, all that stuff. Yeah, and crazy enemies. So I had a lot of fun with that.
Cool.
And that's about it for me. These couple of weeks.
All right. Yeah, this is an interesting game. Well, next up is Benjiro, and I think he's got a lot to talk about. So.
I'm not sure I have a lot to talk about. I didn't play a lot of games over the last 2 weeks, but what I did play, I played a decent amount of. I think I'm about 8 to 10 hours into Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm enjoying that game. It's really, really good. I didn't record any gameplay, so you were just going to show some trailers here. Also because I don't want to spoil the experience. I know people stream it, but I think it's a game that you really should experience for yourself because it's kind of your own story. You go your own direction. Obviously, the starting island, pretty much like in Breath of the Wild, you had a starting island where they basically give you all your tools within the first 2-3 hours. And after that, you basically drop down from the island. Even in Breath of the Wild, it was an island up in the sky, and that was your starting area. Then you drop down onto Hyrule, and you're good to go. Yep. So, silly me thought the same thing about this one. So I got my starting powers, which are all different, and none of them are reused from Breath of the Wild. So you don't have your Breath of the Wild powers; they're all new, and they're pretty cool. They work in interesting ways. The merge mechanic is really interesting. Basically, you're always looking for a rock, and you're always looking for a stick now because you're going to make this this giant bat with that. That will help you mine because it's basically a hammer, so it will help you mine. It will definitely take care of some armor that the enemies are wearing. Some enemies wear armor now that you actually have to break down first.
Nice.
But it also extends to your arrow. So basically in Breath of the Wild, and as in Tears of the Kingdom, you have your sword, your shield, and you have your bow. And your bow features different arrows, but you can also merge your arrows with different ingredients you found. You can find bomb flowers, and you can merge those with your arrows and create bomb arrows.
Nice.
You can also create fire arrows. You can create ice arrows just by destroying some choo-choos. You can get those elementals going. So you have a lot of accessibility fairly early on. You can create it the way you kind of want to. And you can also merge certain items, like you just saw in the trailer. You can actually merge a fire throwing head onto a shield, and then if you use your shield, it will actually spew out fire. So that's kind of cool as well.
Yeah.
So the problem I had, and I already died a bunch of times because the game is not forgiving. If you follow the story, it's kind of okay, but it's not forgiving. It's easy to make mistakes, and it's still a very physics-based game. So if you screw up on the physics department somewhere, you're pretty much out of luck. So the first game would let you drop down onto Hyrule, and you would have your glider. This game doesn't give you your glider when you're still up there. So you basically drop down, and you drop down into a puddle of water because water negates fall damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you basically dive into a lake, and then you're in Hyrule. So no glider. And as with the previous game, I was like, okay, fine. We don't have a glider. We do have like 4 or 5. We do have 4 or 5 different abilities. So we're just gonna explore a bit, and I'm gonna leave the main quest hanging, which is basically fine. You can leave the main quest. Thanks for skipping that. You can leave the main quest as it is. So I moved on to some of the shrines. Just like the first game, you have these shrines, and if you complete a shrine, you get a soul, and if you have 4 of those, you can either pick more stamina or an additional heart.
Yeah.
Because your power gets taken away. I'll start with the story. I'm currently on gameplay. So what you do? So what I did, I went to a temple, and in this temple, I had to. It basically had some kind of spring system. So you would stand on a spring, and then it would launch you. Obviously, no glider, so I would launch, and I was fine for the first couple. But after that, I kept dying to fall damage because you had to create like 3 or 4 springs. You had to put them together, and that would launch you way up in the air because you need to get to a high up platform. And if you miss, I would die, and you would have to do it all over again. So I did that like 4 or 5 times. Marco was sitting next to me on the couch, laughing her ass off each and every time I fail, because basically I was using Link as a crash test dummy. That's what I was doing.
Right.
So eventually I stopped. I was like, okay, I'm done with this temple. I know I can do it, but it's just frustrating because I keep dying. If I miss a single jump or don't eat enough rations to get back up to those 4 hearts that you have at that point, because I noticed that fall damage would take 3. So if I screw up once, I would die.
Yeah.
So I basically ate all my rations, still didn't make it. Okay, whatever, I'm gonna leave. So all I had to do was go to the next main quest, and that would give me my glider. And I did that one. So I got the glider, went back to the temple, did it again. And I did it obviously in one go because with the glider, you just wouldn't take the damage.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, it's a very. I think if you don't like Breath of the Wild, or Breath of the Wild is not your thing, you're not gonna enjoy this game. It's pretty much the same. Apparently, the dungeons are a lot better and more Zelda-esque because Breath of the Wild was severely lacking in dungeons.
Yeah.
I haven't done a dungeon myself, so I can't really give my thoughts on that yet.
Yeah.
There's I saw something a tweet from some people talking about it, and they said there's an entire thing that they haven't shown anywhere during any presentations or whatever, So that's pretty cool that they did that.
Yeah. Apparently there's also a story beat, and I don't know what it is yet. So the story is a little bit more involved. The story was basically missable in Breath of the Wild, because at some point you would go to a certain shrine. That shrine would have a memory of Zelda, and you would see the collapse of Hyrule, and you would see what Link actually did those 100 years prior to where the game actually takes place. But you can miss those. So the first time I played Breath of the Wild, I think I only saw like 4 or 5 of those cutscenes, and the rest I just missed because you don't have to go everywhere.
And that's not the case this time.
In this case, the game opens up with like a 10-minute cutscene. Zelda and Link are actually going underneath the castle, underneath Hyrule Castle, because there's some kind of smoke phenomenon coming up that's corrupting the land, and everything that's touching it is either getting sick or getting their strength and power sapped from them. So they're trying to find the origin, and they find a hand, they at some point they find a mummy, and the mummy's held down by just a single hand. The hand falls off the second they walk into the room. I don't know. There must have been a breeze or something, and basically that's when Ganon gets reborn. So he is basically that zombie. He wakes up. Right. He says their names like, "You're Link. You're Zelda. Haha! I know all about you." And then he saps your power. So he breaks your Master Sword, which you got from the previous game. And he zaps your stamina, he zaps your health, and you get saved by the head that just fell off, and that's part of your head now, because basically your entire arm got destroyed. So that's why Link has the mechanical hand.
Ah, that's pretty cool.
And that's also why he has all these new powers.
Yeah, right. The merge ability,
the whole build mechanic stuff.
Yeah.
The ultra hand.
Nice.
So the story is a little bit more involved. Apparently, there's a story beat that made some people cry. There's something very sad happening. I don't know what that is yet. The second I figured out that that there was an emotional story beat like that, I instantly tuned out. I didn't want to see any of that on social media. So
no, of course,
block that out because I want to experience that for myself. But definitely a fun game. I didn't, like I said, didn't have a lot of time to play it, but it's definitely good. You do have to do. It's very heavy on crafting. Like now you have to craft your weapons. You craft these rafts.
Yeah. Weapons still break, right?
The weapons definitely still break, but it's fun because you can create new weapons. And basically enough weapons drop. Usually you just have to decide, okay, am I going to take this weapon or am I going to keep what I already have? Usually you just end up throwing away the weapons that are already damaged, because when they're damaged, they start like pulsing red in your inventory. So you know that they're on the verge of breaking, so you just swap those away. I never had a moment in this game where I had the feeling like I didn't have any tools to go with.
Nice.
The same for arrows. Like I don't think I ever dropped below 30 arrows.
And you did have that in Breath of the Wild, right?
Breath of the Wild, you could get pretty low on weapons,
Right.
But I also had the feeling that they broke more often in Breath of the Wild than they do here.
Okay, so they did change that up a bit.
They did add a lot of stuff, because what they didn't tell, it's maybe a slight spoiler, but basically the rot, or they didn't call it rot, I forgot what they actually called it, but the ooze that came from Ganon also corrupted the land, and there's these holes in the ground that you can actually go into, and it's like a sort of mini dungeon. So you would go in there, you can you need to take a picture of a hieroglyph, which is part of one of the scientists that you meet, who's actually researching this.
Kind of
so there are 3 layers. There's Hyrule, which you basically already knew. Then there's the stuff that's up in the sky, and then there's stuff underground.
Yeah.
And that's a reoccurring theme throughout the entire game. So it looks like a lot of fun. It's definitely, I'm going to keep playing it. It's probably going to be a few weeks before I actually get done with it, because I'm I'm very much not following the story, not going towards these story beats, but just looking what's on the horizon. If I see a shrine there, I'm gonna go to that shrine. If I see a tower that unlocks a part of the map, I'm gonna try to go there.
I know.
So I'm just exploring the game. I'm not rushing it. I'm not rushing any of the story beats. I'm not rushing towards the dungeons because I want to experience them. I just want to experience the game very leisurely, very relaxed, and that's also why I didn't record any of it, because I just played it downstairs on the couch. I might record some of it in the coming week, because there was definitely some jank stuff going on. Some of it was incredibly funny, not to me, but to the people that were waking. So yeah, there's some fun shenanigans in there.
Yeah, I read a lot of course, I read a lot of Twitter. There's a lot of developers that are very impressed with this game. Mostly because of all the physics and crafting stuff there is, and how it works like intended, basically. Like, that's one of the things that really excites me about this game, is the immersive, the ImSim stuff that people are talking about.
This is basically where he lost his hand.
Is where people just create the craziest inventions and things, and that it all works, and also a lot of like solving puzzles in unexpected ways. And that make you feel like really smart. And then they also say that like other things just make them feel really dumb. Like it's that kind of smart design. Like that really got me really excited to play it myself at a certain point in the future. But yeah, that's what I read. Just like the game developers that from the industry that just like, how did Nintendo do this? Also, taking consideration the hardware limits of the system.
And it's running at close to a locked 30. It's running really well on the hardware. There are some points in the game that are having issues with performance. Specifically, if you go to Cockroach Village, just like the first game, it has issues. The interesting thing is it's not CPU or GPU related. It's completely memory. Because MVG, Modern Vintage Gamer, actually has a switch that he can overclock. So he overclocked just the memory bus. That's all he did. Like it's current. It's current. I think it's running on 1600 megahertz or something, and he put it on 18, and it was just a locked 30. There was no issue.
Oh, nice.
So
you can definitely tell then the switch is showing its age.
Yeah, but
definitely.
Yeah, the game, it's not a pretty game, but let's be honest, I wasn't expecting 4K graphical fidelity here.
No.
But the way the game looks, it looks fine. I played on my OLED TV over here, and it looks amazing. It literally looks fine. I know it's just 720p, 800p at most, and it hardly ever goes to true 1080p, but it just looks good, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, whenever I see those big like landscape shots and them floating from like this, like whenever I see that, I'm still like, that's okay. It doesn't like,
it's a little jagged, but it looks good.
But it's still very very impressive for the hardware that it is, especially if you consider like all the things that go under that are happening under the hood. With all the physics objects and the AI that's roaming around. I think it's like, you kind of have to like expect that kind of fidelity with this game. I mean, even like these shots that are shown here it has a simple art style, but it's still impressive in my eyes.
And the game never loads. That's the beauty of it. The game never loads, except when you fast travel or you die. There's no loading. You can just go from area to area in this game, and there's not a single loading zone. It's absolutely seamless. Obviously, when you die or when you fast travel, there's loading, which is pretty fast, because that's another thing that they figured out. Nintendo is overclocking the CPU and dropping the GPU to 0, basically, when they're loading. So the loading times are kind of fast because they're completely loading on CPU. And because it hardly shows anything moving, like the GPU is brought down to like 3% of its actual speed. So they kind of improved on that as well.
Nice.
But yeah, it's pretty much seamless, and yeah, it's running on a 2016 mobile phone. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
Yeah.
impressive. It's really
It's very
impressive.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to continue though because we don't have that much time. Um, we'll talk about it more next week, of course. And yeah, for me, I played a couple of games, tried out a couple of games, but the one I really want to talk about is also part of the subject of today, which is Neo: The World Ends with You, which is a very fun action RPG that I enjoyed a lot so far. I already played the demo a couple of weeks ago, and no, when it came out even, and I never picked it up. Strangely enough, because I think this game deserved a lot more attention.
Until I
But,
pressured you to pick it up.
yeah, no, not really. That was the first one for the.
Yeah, that's fair.
picked
That's the
up on the
first
Switch.
one, and then you
I
picked up
already-
the second one.
Actually, I already picked up this one before I picked up the first one.
Okay.
So I saw it was on sale, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna grab it. But I'm glad I picked it up because it has a lot of interesting stuff. Very interesting. Well, interesting is a bad word. A very intriguing story.
Compelling.
Yeah, compelling, intriguing.
Does it require
vision.
knowledge of the first game, or is it like
Not necessarily.
pretty much a standalone?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's pretty much standalone so far. There are some elements. Eventually, probably, I think, haven't run across them that harkens back to the first game. But you're playing a new character. So in the same world. So it does take place after the events of the first game.
Okay.
And the first game is very much flat, of course, because it was a 2D game on the Nintendo DS.
Okay.
And you have to use the touchscreen, as I talked about before. But this one is very action oriented. That you have to same enemies, just 3D models of those same enemies. And instead of using a touchscreen, you use your standard buttons.
Okay.
And then you have different attacks, but they're basically the same attacks.
Okay.
The same sort of pins, some variations, but everything else is really the same. The way you upgrade your pins, the outfits you can, or the clothes you can wear that have an effect in different areas, depending on what the hot fashion is at that point. And there's a lot of the same mechanics to solve puzzles, but it's really, yeah, I really like it a lot. I wasn't expecting to like it this much.
Okay.
It has a good flow to the game. Like it looks very dynamic.
Yeah, it's very dynamic. And what's fun is that it's not just one battle each time. You can create different layers of battles. So when you walk around in the city, and the city is very stylized, and I love the art style. It's very graffiti-like, very, of course, anime, but lots of graffiti inspirations and a lot of fashion inspirations.
Mm-hmm.
The city looks, compared to like a game that is also set in Shibuya, the Persona or Tokyo Mirage Sessions, is that every building is sort of crooked.
Oh, right. That kind of art style. Yeah.
Yeah. So every building looks weird. There are some elements that it kind of feels off a bit, which it makes sense considering the context of the game. There's puzzles in there that you have to figure out certain images. This is basically some of them are done like in Batman the game, where you have to find the right frequency.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if
yeah, I think I remember.
With that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's different missions you have to do every day. It's every day that you play. And what I do like is that the game gives you sort of a time limit, but also not. For the characters, there's a time limit for you. You can do whatever you want until you're ready to step up to the next session. So there's no real, not like Pikmin or something, or Dead Rising. There's no real time limit. Which makes you can create battles that have different, like I said, layers, and every reduction, that's what they call it. A reduction is is how many enemies you manage to pick up when you walk around and switch between. You can only see those enemies in a certain way. So you switch between the world normally, and then there's a darker world, and then you see the enemies, and then you can pick them up. So yeah, in every reduction, it's not really that much harder every reduction, but they do kind of get harder. You can also change the. You get certain levels, so you grow stronger.
Mm-hmm.
You can upgrade your pins, but you can also lower your levels to up the chance of getting some more stuff.
Okay, so it's like a sort of a mini respec kind of thing.
Sort of. You can always lower or lower your levels, and then the chance of getting new stuff is like 3% normally.
Okay.
But if you go lower 3 levels, then it suddenly turns into 9.
Oh, okay.
4 levels lower than what you currently are, because they do scale. The enemies do scale, and there's also a difficulty level, so you can also switch that.
Interesting.
Which makes it very, very interesting indeed. And yeah, like I said, I played this game quite a bit now. I already played the demo a while back. Then I bought the game, and I could just continue because Square Enix does a lot with play the demo right now and play the full game with the save game. So that's pretty cool.
Carries over then. That's good.
Yeah, save games carry over, and I don't know. It's just really fun.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it looks fast paced. I like the combat it's very like, I don't know. It's like a multi-person Devil May Cry kind of thing or something.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
You can lock onto enemies. You can every pin has a different. Well, not every pin, but they have some crossovers in types of attacks. But there's also one you have to charge. Another is like you have to tap repeatedly, and if you hit with one attack, and enough, you see a counter coming up that says drop the beat, and then you have to do another attack, and if you do, you get sick, which upgrades your which enhances your points, your groove.
Yeah. So it's like almost like a rhythm combat game then.
Yeah. There's a certain rhythm to it, and then if you have enough groove, 100%, you can do a special attack, and that depends on what kind of pin your main character is wearing.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. And you can outside the battles, you can jump into people's memories, jog their memories by giving them certain words when they're stuck. Just help them with the puzzles. There's some side quests in that regard. It's a very big game so far. I think I've played quite a couple. I think about 10 to 15 hours. And I think I've only played like 8% of the game.
Nice. So there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah. I'm taking it slow through the story as well. And then pins can level up, and they can be upgraded to newer pins. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there, and I haven't found everything yet. So there's still more stuff to come. Yeah. Ooh. And yeah, story-wise, it's someone who wakes up in a weird version of Shibuya in Tokyo, and he finds out, because it's very early on in the game, it's not really a spoiler, he's basically dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's a good start.
Yeah, that's a very good start. And then he finds out that there's a game being played by a group. They call themselves the Reapers, because of course. And he suddenly has to be part of a team and finish missions every day.
Okay. And,
and then the one who finished the team that finishes the mission first gets the points.
So is this like part of like a sort of an afterlife lore of what happens when you die, or?
Yeah, for not everyone gets one, but everyone who has a pin gets has to play the game.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And if you don't if you're in last place at the end of the week, you're out. And not in a good way, probably. So
okay. Wow. So you finally you die, and then I have to play this game.
Yep. It's dark. It can get very dark. Yeah. but I like it so far. The first game was dark as well. I haven't finished that one either yet, but I've progressed quite far into that game right now. So yeah, so I
Okay.
was really
Cool.
interested in playing this one because I had it around for a while. So yeah. But like I said, this is also part at the same time of, I think this game deserved a lot more attention and it deserved a lot more critical success or commercial success because it's really fun. It's really good.
Yeah, I heard the title before, the name of the franchise, basically.
The World Ends
Mhm.
With You. Yeah.
World Ends With You. It's a very, it's a very special title for a video game.
Mhm.
But yeah, I didn't know there was a sequel, and yeah.
Yeah, that was
So,
basically my point because
Yeah.
Square Enix did no marketing for it at all.
That's so weird. Because it looks like which platform is this? Just on all the
This
major
is
platforms?
PlayStation 4 and Switch, and I think it's on PC as well. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
it's on Steam, right?
You see the
I
world.
didn't check. Neo. You need to look for Neo.
Yeah, Neo: The World Ends With You. It's on Steam.
Yeah, it's on
It's currently
Steam.
not on sale. It's currently full
Okay.
price. But yeah,
Interesting.
it also got very positive reviews.
Yeah,
But
for
like
the
I
people
said,
who played it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the sales it just didn't do well enough.
Yeah,
it
so
felt so. People asked if there was going to be a third game, and it fell short of expectations. And
Yeah.
there's currently
Yeah.
no plan for a third game.
No,
That's so sad.
so sad
Like,
because it's
because
really
I feel like this is gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of those cult classics, right? That
Yeah.
people talk about later, like
yeah.
years later, like, oh yeah, nobody played that game,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
maybe
Same thing with the first one. So
and it's like it's one of those things that suddenly will get like a reboot someday in the future, and
perhaps.
where all the cult classic fans are going to be excited about and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
And they sort of did that for the first game because the first game came to DS, and later they ported it to mobile, and then they did a port for Switch.
Yeah.
And now they did a sequel, but yeah, the sequel still falls short of expectations. So unless
Yeah.
the fans get loud and Square Enix will hear them, there will be a third. At least not for a while.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
And like I said, such a shame because
It's
yeah.
weird because they added those characters were actually part of Kingdom Hearts 3. They were in there.
Oh yeah,
Really?
from the first
Yeah.
game.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the characters from the first game, not the second game.
Yeah.
But they actually, they showed off those characters. So I think Square was trying to get the buzz going for this franchise, but for some reason, marketing just.
Yeah, they
Wasn't
didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't do any marketing.
Wasn't Square also the one who said that when the Tomb Raider that the sales were like
Yeah.
They've
shitty
been
according
saying
to
that
them?
about everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They said it about Guardians as well. That there are a few other games. The only thing that they're actually happy about is Final Fantasy 14. That's as far as basically the Final Fantasy stuff is the only stuff that meets their expectations, and otherwise, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they also published a new Star Ocean, which I heard is also really good.
No, it's
So-
not good. I've heard the opposite. I've heard
Oh,
that people who love Star Ocean kind of are disgusted by that game.
The latest one, no, I do know that about the fifth one, but not about the sixth one.
No, the latest one is apparently not that good. Also, and that's
I heard
is a
very differently from a lot of people. So
okay. I've heard very negative feedback
Okay.
about I think from about 6 or 7 YouTubers that were not positive about that game, and
Hmm.
they are big into RPGs.
right, okay.
So
I do know a lot of people had issues with the way the main character looked with his weird forehead, but
anyway,
yeah.
they did a really even on that game
There was some
the physical not just there was some marketing. I think there was some marketing on YouTube and stuff, but I'm pretty sure that they only printed a very small amount of copies because it's constantly sold out.
True.
I've been checking that game because I kind of want to pick it up if it's like 30 or something. It's still
Same.
40 or above, and I've checked it, and it's been out of stock for a while, and it just came back in stock this week.
Oh,
But it's
okay.
still 40, so I'm still not picking it up. But yeah,
Yeah, okay. Okay. All right. Well,
Metzman,
Zero.
you're up
Oh,
next.
I
I'm
thought it
up
was
next.
gonna be
That's okay.
you're up next.
I'm up next? Sure.
Yeah.
So,
What's one of your games?
my first underrated game is Heroes of the Storm. I really enjoyed Heroes of the Storm.
I know.
My YouTube channel was basically made for Heroes of the Storm. I used to
Mm-hmm.
I ran Heroes of the Storm content for a Dutch website called Game Cowboys. I did
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of Twitch and YouTube tutorial videos. This is one of them. This video is like 5 or 6 years old by now.
Oh, the old times.
That's like really old stuff.
We recorded some gameplay as well back then.
Yeah, we did some co-op stuff. So yeah, it was and I know that some friends of yours and even some relatives of yours, Matt, were really enjoying this game as well.
Oh yeah, they were all into this game.
Yeah.
They played it to the very end. So,
And it just never got the support from the community that it actually needed. So it's a MOBA. And the thing that set this game apart is because it's kind of easy to learn but hard to master. You had different maps, and those maps have different objectives, and that changed the gameplay up quite a lot. But the thing about this is that every character if they would level to level 3, level 5, level 7, they would gain skills. Mm-hmm. And you could pick your build based on your enemies. You could pick your build based on your setup, and that's the way you would actually play this game. And it was so much fun. But everybody always thought it was a kiddies MOBA. Like it was the MOBA that you would play if you sucked at other MOBAs.
Yeah, because a lot of people were into League of Legends.
A lot of people are into League. A lot of people are into Dota 2, and nobody really cared about this. And it's a real shame because it was actually a really good game. Like but it was a game that didn't really have its own identity because the pros, the people that were playing it on a high level, and I did do some esports stuff on this game. We're kind of hoping for something more serious and more akin to League, and then there were the casual players that were really looking for just something that was fun, and it never really found its identity. No. And it took and unfortunately at the end the game just lost a lot of favor. They switched up the way the game was monetized. At first you could actually get like a certain amount of skins, then they changed it into loot box mechanics because loot box were hot after they released Overwatch, unfortunately. So they killed the game that way, because I used to own before they did that switch over to loot box mechanics, I actually owned every skin. I had everything that you could have in this game. Blizzard used to do sales on Christmas, and you could get all these skins for like 25%, like 75% off, and I would buy every single one of them. Every one I was missing up until that point, I actually bought. That included color variations. I was absolutely in on this game, and at some point they just killed it. They killed their esports scene like overnight. Basically, they had a tournament planned like 3 or 4 weeks ahead of time, and they said, okay, we're done with esports. They never informed anybody, not the pros, nothing. Oh, look at me being great at typing again. But and that basically killed the game. Eventually, the support just wasn't there for Blizzard anymore. They were very two-faced about this game. And the game you can still play to this day, and there are still people who are dedicated to playing this game. But they're not dropping any new content. There are no new heroes being released. There are no new maps released. It's basically just a remnant of the past by now.
Yeah, it's bleeding out.
Yeah, it's soon nobody's going to be playing it, and then it's basically over. Maybe, who knows, if the merger goes through, Microsoft might save it. And they might, to try to get some resources on it, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's ever gonna happen. But yeah, Heroes of the Storm. I think it deserved a better treatment than it actually got. I think it deserved better from its community. I think it deserved better from its developers because it had a lot of
Agreed.
potential, and it was a lot of fun. We played it. I think nearly for a couple of years. We played it nearly every night, and Fush sometimes joined in, and it was just fun. It was
I
just
wasn't that
fun.
good at it, but you know.
You were not great, and to be fair, I was not that great. I was okay at it, but yeah, it was definitely fun. So
Yeah. All right.
I think that's that's it. So Hots, rip to you, and I hope.
And your turn. What is your first game that you think is very underrated?
Wait, you were talking to me yet?
It's you now, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
good.
I'm going back to classic games and older games actually.
Of course.
Because
I
that's
expect no
me.
less.
Okay, so there was this game by Eidos Interactive. It was developed by Iron Storm, which is some people may know was the developer behind the Daikatana, which was John Romero's. I'm gonna make you my beep shooter.
Yep.
And they developed a game that actually was weird, like a weird choice for a Western developer to make, which is called Anachronox. And what is Anachronox? Anachronox is basically a Western JRPG,
Right.
and which is really weird to say, but you'll see when you see footage of the game, you kind of know what I mean with that. It's a 3D fantasy turn-based role-playing game, and it was very much in the vein. I think they looked a lot at games like Final Fantasy VII, and it ran on the Quake 2 engine, which was really interesting. And it has it was a little bit. It's a little bit of a cult game, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about it. But I think that this is one of those games that that could reboot or remake, and would be really cool if they did it with like modern engine and modern graphics and everything, because it has a very captivating story. The voice acting is actually really good. It even had a character that because this came out before Halo 1, that is sort of like a Cortana character. Yeah, here she is. Which is I think it's a dead person, and her soul is like digitized in this like floating cursor, which is also your cursor in game. Like it's really interesting how they did that. And basically, you're a private detective in sort of like a Blade Runner-esque sci-fi world. You start off at like a planet where where you can like shift whole parts of the city to line up certain streets with each other. So certain people could like get to work faster, or they connect like different like supply lines and stuff like that. Very interesting world, and it's
Wasn't
very
it also underwater? Was it
I
a
don't
different
know.
game?
Okay, so one thing, I didn't play very much of the game. I played like the first 8 hours or so.
Right.
So I don't know if there's anything underwater. Might be later in the game. But yeah, it's very cinematic. The opening is really like it really draws you into this world, and it shows you the character, like this guy here that basically he doesn't have a dime. He can't pay his rent. He can't pay out the guys that he owes money to, and then he gets like one like lead on a mission, a quest thing, and then that kind of like snowballs into a very big plot, basically.
Right.
As it does, but yeah, it was very it was very interesting to I remember playing this game for the first time. I just randomly picked it up somewhere in the beginning 2000s, I think, and because I just wanted to play something different back then. And actually, that game, like, I always come back to it. Like, I always replay it the first few hours somehow.
Oh wow!
Because
you keep restarting it.
yeah, it's one of those things, right, where you keep like restarting it, and you never get too far because other games are distracting you or whatever. Because it's a time-consuming game. It's it's a role playing game that you have to discover a lot. You have to find your next lead and where to go. But yeah, it's a very interesting game, and it has lockpick mechanics. It has let me see if I can find some combat. I think that's a little later. The turn-based combat, or is where you learn the combat, is very interesting because there's also like environmental things where you can you have like a laser grid, for example, where you have to move around, and there's like interactive elements on the battlefield. So it's not just you and the enemies, but it's also a little like environmental things that you can do, or you can lay traps and stuff like that.
Kind of like XCOM,
A little
I
bit.
think. The fact
It's
that
a
you have to
little
move
bit,
around the
yeah.
field. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can move around in certain areas, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, the combat feels very Final Fantasy VII-ish, as that when you win a battle, you get that victory tune, and
nice.
you see how many XP every character gets, and it feels very reminiscent of that. But yeah, it's I don't know, it was very fun. I loved exploring the world and the characters, and there's some very funny plot lines in that. There's this guy, like this psychic guy, where you have to find. He's called Eddie, and the only if you want him to help you, he needs to chew on something or something. That's the plot line. So you have to find something for him to chew on. Like that's a plot element. Like it's a little bit funky, but
Okay.
yeah.
The funny part is there's a comic called Chew.
Okay.
Where the main character is a detective and he has to eat their flesh.
Oh,
people's
God.
flesh to figure out stuff. Yeah, it's
well,
good.
It's kind of
really
like
good.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
instantly reminded me of it.
it was very funny because the game is built on the Quake 2 engine, but they kind of like expanded upon it visually a lot. It has a very cool art style. There's some actually pretty impressive vistas in this game, even though you can see the blocky shapes of everything.
Yeah.
Because it's an old engine, but the lighting and there's like there's a big view on like a very like large space where you can see ships coming in, and it's a very the world is very alive. It's very Star Wars-y, basically, where you see all different kinds of alien races walk around, and and it's just it's a fun game, and I wish it got more attention. I wish it would get something like a reboot or a remake. Here's a little bit of combat to see how it goes. And like it's one of those first combat scenes. Right. It's just I don't know.
It's very classic JRPG. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can pick your items. You can do a straight up attack. This is a shield, I think. Yeah, I deploy a shield, so you get a defense boost. It's very animated, and it's all very fluid as well. So I don't know. This game still kind of looks good for I think this came out in 2000, 2001. Sorry, it came out.
Right.
So, and I remember it when it came out. It already had a very long development cycle. So I think at the time the graphics weren't the greatest. But because they were working on it for quite a bit, I think they underestimated what it takes to make a JRPG. I was going to say JRPG. I shouldn't call it a JRPG because it's not a JRPG.
No,
it's just a Western RPG with turn-based combat. But I just always refer to it as a JRPG because of the style of it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So that's my first underrated game that I wish had more spotlight on it.
I just put it in my cart.
Oh.
It's available on Steam.
Yeah, I think there is a bug with it.
It was pretty cheap. So.
Yeah, it's very cheap. There's a little bug in it, like with one of the tutorial fights where the camera sometimes gets lost. So we might have to check that out. I think there's a fix for it. I'm not sure.
Okay.
There was that, but that's only in the beginning of the game, and it should be fine after that. There's also some PC gaming wiki fixes for it because the original aspect ratio is 4:3, So you can have to get it to widescreen if you want to, but then
Okay.
some of the cutscenes do mess up a bit because they were built for 4:3. So you might see like an overhead shot of a city, and then suddenly on the left and right side you see things disappear and stuff because you're not supposed to see past that
Yeah,
aspect
fair
ratio.
enough.
Right.
No, it's
Okay.
playable on Steam Deck, so we'll probably play it there and take
Mm.
it on my holiday.
It's
Yeah.
very old school. I like the
Yeah.
look of it. I kind of like the look of it because
Yeah.
around that time there was also a game called Sin, which was
Yeah.
also a fun shooter.
Yeah, you actually
Also using the Quake 2 engine.
yeah. And you actually control, like, this is the very beginning, right? And you get a whole party of characters, so you can switch between
Oh,
them
right.
to use different abilities and stuff.
Hmm.
So, for example, there's a kind of a wizard kind of guy. I call him wizard guy because he's like a wizard character who can, like, he has a skill called, I think, Jabber or something, where he just can talk the shit out of people. So you
Like a
sometimes you have
bard.
to switch
Yeah.
characters to use specific traits to solve certain situations.
Right.
So
I mean,
stuff
it
like
makes
that.
sense that talking is a power.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Being good at talking.
Kind of
So
like
yeah, that
Dungeons and
was
Dragons. That's the same thing.
exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it has that little bit of a role play where you have to use specific skills for certain things
Nice.
outside of the combat.
And a
That's fun.
Chronox. Cool game.
Chronox.
Check
Yeah.
it out.
All right. Next game would be I think that's one for me, right? That would
Yep.
be my second game because I
Yeah,
started
would
with
be.
Neo: The World Ends With You.
Yes, it would be.
So I'm going back a couple of years to the time of Mad Max.
Mad
Yes.
Max.
I still want to play that game. I
Yeah.
played the first hour or two or so.
Well, I finished the entire game. I think 100% in it. So no, I still got some stuff to find. I think.
Okay.
But no, I finished the entire story, and I think it's a very underrated game because everything works really well.
Yeah.
But I can understand why not a lot of people might not like it, because it can also be very desolate.
Yeah.
So very alone. Everything is really spaced out, and it's kind of sparse in that regard. When it comes to certain stuff, there's small enclaves of areas where they're holed up, of course, because the rest of the world is dead.
Yeah.
It's one big sandbox. But the fun about I think the game is the combination of the driving and the puzzle elements and the close combat. Because the close combat is sort of inspired by the Batman games, of course, because these are all studios that worked or published it through
Warner
Brothers, and so they like Middle Earth and Shadow of Middle Earth and Shadow of War. They're inspired a lot by the Batman games because the combat in the Batman games is really good, but here it's kind of basic, kind of deconstructed.
Okay.
Good enough for Mad Max, of course, because he's just a human.
Yeah.
But what I like is that you can alter your car a lot, so there's a lot of customization. What I think is a shame is that there was no 2-player option, because I think that would have made the game a little bit more fun, in the sense that one player could drive and the other could use the harpoon.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering what you meant by that, like
Yeah.
a certain co-op element of that.
Yeah, because when you drive around, you have another character. Typically Mad Max style. He looks weird.
Like an Igor kind of guy, right?
Yeah, and he's a fun character, and he only cares about the car. So he's very much, the car is a sacred thing, and you can use different bodies. You can equip spikes on them. You need spikes at some points because enemies can jump on your car from their car, so you have to get rid of them. And the car combat is just so good.
Yeah, it's very visceral, right?
Yeah, that's the best part of it. You can use the harpoon to grab people out of their cars once you get rid of their doors. You can shoot their tires so they crash, and it's so much fun.
But it's developers with Just Cause as well, right? I think.
Yeah.
Avalanche, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good. This is a good license in their hands too.
Yeah,
If you think about it.
and there's so much more potential to it. There's a lot of stuff to find. What the thing is, I really like the fact that it feels lonesome
Mm-hmm.
because it's a different experience than a lot of other games. It's just it's a dead world, so there's not a lot of people in it, but it just feels good somehow.
Yeah,
And intriguing.
it's different than, for example, a game like Rage, where
Yeah.
it's all a little bit more cramped
Mhm.
than it should be, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
this game is a lot more like you have that big open space where you cruise along.
And that feels good. It's there's also you have to find towers to see the rest of the level. So that kind of gameplay did cross over, especially in the time that it came out from the Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah, the towers. Yeah,
But the bosses are fun to take down. It can be very challenging as well, and it just looked really good.
yeah. Graphically too, like they had a photo mode as well, where people
Oh yeah.
make some really good like photo stuff with
Yeah.
it.
And it's very exciting when you get when you run into one of the dust storms.
Oh right,
Those
yeah.
can be really exciting and also
Yeah.
really fun to grab a lot of gear out of. So that's
Interesting. Yeah,
yeah.
I never got that far, so
Mm,
I'm definitely wanting to jump back into this
yeah.
game. Yeah.
Yeah. So but like I said, the only issue that many people might have with it is that it can feel kind of
Yeah, I think a lot of people also said it like it's kind of like there's not a lot of variety. Like that, a lot of
yeah,
the things you do are feel
that
a
is
little
an
bit of
issue.
the same.
Yeah.
So if you go into camps and do the combat and find the things that you need, that loop is a little bit
It's a bit
repeats itself a little bit too much,
yeah,
maybe.
it does repeat itself a little bit much.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the biggest issues. But story-wise, I really enjoyed it, so I kept on trucking. Haha, sorry, I had to. Um, but
Goddamn.
yeah, sorry, I
Yeah.
like my puns. And but it, like I said, I love the feel of the world, and I
Yeah.
really like. I'm also really like the Mad Max movies. I have Mad Max Fury Road. I have the original release on Blu-ray. I have it in a quadrilogy.
Quadrilogy. Yeah.
Quadrilogy. What a terrible
Stupid
word.
word. Yeah.
Yep. Like all 4 movies in one
Yeah.
box. Plus, I have
Yeah.
the blood and chrome version, which is the black and white version.
Oh,
Which
right.
is
That's
also
cool.
really well done because they did a lot with the with different lighting effects for the black and chrome version, so that it looks a lot better.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the of course Fury Road. I watched that in theaters, and that was just
Was it?
like superb.
Yeah,
I also
amazing.
owned the 3D Blu-ray myself.
Oh yeah, I
And
have the 3D version. Yeah,
yeah, so it's
I'm a big
it's a
fan.
great franchise, also just for a video game.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking about it, like this was like and also just when I heard they were gonna make it, the guys, Just Cause guys, I was like, yeah, of course,
Yeah,
like they
makes
should
sense.
do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
it's
also
perfect for them.
played all the Just Cause games so far. So
Yeah, yeah. Then Just Cause 2 is one of my favorite games of all time as
hmm
well. So
yeah, I really like Just Cause
yeah.
3. So 4 is kind of more the same. So did get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
But, I did finish that one. But Mad Max is definitely a game that deserved a lot more when it came out.
Yeah, I see a lot of people always say that that want a Max 2 game from them.
Yeah, same here.
So like it's one of those cult classic games now that people want to see come back.
Yeah. And it's usually you can find it on sale. So
Yeah, it's a lot.
pick it up
Yeah, it's a
Steam.
on sale a lot. I think
Get it.
even like some free giveaways.
Oh,
Not sure, but
yeah, I think some Humble Bonus maybe. I don't know.
It came in PlayStation Plus a while back.
yeah,
Oh,
that was it. Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I played it on PC, finished it on PC, and I think I also finished it on PlayStation because of PlayStation Plus. So, so yeah. I think it was
Yeah,
part
very
of the
good game.
essentials. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my second one. What is your second one, Benji?
It's my turn.
Mhm.
Okay. Holy cow. Let's see which one. I have 4 on my list, and we're only gonna do 3. That's because I didn't want to talk about a certain one. So here we go. So next one on my list would be the Digimon's story Cyber Sleuth.
Right.
So Digimon has always been kind of a franchise that's there or not there. You know, it pales in comparison to Pokemon for most people. And these games, they are. I played both of them on Switch. They originally came out on the PS Vita, so they were born to fail because, well, the Vita kind of did.
Unfortunately.
And they re-released them because there were basically 2 of them for Switch. They also came to PC. But these games are really, really good. So they're turn-based. They're basically turn-based combat games, very much akin to what you would expect from a Pokemon game.
Mm-hmm.
But the way you evolve your characters in this game is phenomenal because let's just call it Digivolve. You change them based on stats, so you can evolve them, and at some point when they're done leveling, you can devolve them and evolve them into something else. So you constantly can keep the same party, but they can become different creatures. They can keep the move set and abilities that they learned previously, and you can mix and match them. The story is fairly mature. It's way more involved than the story you would usually see in a Pokemon game. It's way more mature. But the problem is you do have to read because it's either Japanese or it's just text, and it can be like a wall.
Novel.
Yeah, but it can be like a wall of text. It can be like an hour and a half that you're basically just reading. But when you get to the gameplay, when you get to the story, to the gameplay and the game, it's really, really fun. So I've played both of them, and they take about 60, 70 hours a piece to finish them. And you can usually pick this game up for just a couple of bucks. They did Digimon Survive Now, which is actually a visual novel. This is not a visual novel. This is just a full-blown JRPG. But they're they are very text-heavy. They have a lot of dialogue. The characters are done very nicely. They're the story evolves in a very interesting way.
Sorry.
But at some point, the game gets there's like in the first 4 hours you do have to bite the bullet and just go through the story to get to the actual fun gameplay. So that's the only thing that probably deterred some people. But the combat itself, absolutely fun. So give it a shot.
I know you talked with me about it before, and I was also always very interested. And now that I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to pick this one up.
Yeah, this is just pick up the collection. They're usually they go on sale fairly often, so we'll wait for a sale. Yeah. But both of them are pretty good, and they're not like direct sequels, but they're two sides of the same coin. So the second game is basically taking place while the first game is taking place, but it's a completely different perspective, a completely different team. So you get the same phenomena happening in both games, but from a completely different perspective, which is really cool.
Yeah,
nice.
Definitely one that I'm gonna keep an eye on
Okay.
when I can get it. Thanks. All right. Next up for you, Petsman.
Yeah. Okay. So my next game is also a turn-based game again. I'm really
another
weird on the
turn-based game.
Stuff. My game next game is Gladius. I don't know which.
I think you talked about it before, right?
I did. I think it's in my top. I think it was in my top 10. I'm not sure.
I think so, yeah.
2003, that's where it came in. So Gladius is a turn-based arena game that takes place in like, what do you call it? What is it? It's a specific... Yeah, Colosseums, also outside, but that's it kind of mixes. Like sometimes you have encounters outside of the Colosseums.
Right.
But yeah, the most of the fights are going to be arena fights.
Mhm.
But it just has a main story. You start off with one dude or two dudes, I think, dude and a girl, whatever. It's been a really long time since I played it, so I don't remember the exact details of the story itself. I just remember having a lot of fun with the game. So what it is that it's kind of placed like XCOM. Like it's
Right.
all on a grid, and the attacks that you do are going to be QuickTime events partially, and that's really interesting. And the fun thing about that is if you hit your QuickTime events, you get critical hits. So there's like a bar that's going to go
Very
from
Paper
left to right.
Mario.
Like here you can see it. If you hit the red part, you get a critical hit.
Nice.
If you get the orange, you get a normal hit. And if you hit the blue, you have a bad hit, basically.
Right. It's kind of Final Fantasy Tactics in the sense of combat.
Yeah.
But not
I've never played that, so it might be.
No, but not with the QuickTime events because it didn't have those. But the placement of the characters behind others. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So it's really fun because it's in an arena. The crowd is actually a part of the fight itself. So you could have a character that's like sort of a bard, and he will like inspire the crowd. Like that's like one of the moves he can do, and that will bring more energy to the fight, and you'll get stat boosts for your players or for your party as well. And another thing is you could play this game in co-op. So if you have enough characters, if you have like 4 characters, you can play this in 4-player co-op, and you can just decide what player controls what character. So that's what we used to do. I had like my friends over, and we would literally sit down till 5 a.m. in the morning playing this game because there's a lot of content. There's like a lot of arenas you go through, and there's a lot of like little side things you can do as well. Like there's not only the main quest fights, but there's also just side fights where you can gain more stuff because of course you collect gear, and it also has a element affinity system. So you see on the bottom middle you have like different elements, and if you wear the right gear, that has like a boost mechanic. So like I don't remember exactly all the details on how it works again, but like you could really spec out your character to be like very efficient in their own like magic types and stuff. So yeah, it's a Greek mythology game, so there's a lot of like minotaurs and stuff like that in there. It was made by LucasArts, which is like
that was it.
You don't see that a lot. There was like a lot of experimental games around this time. So there was Gladius and there was Mercenaries, so like all different kinds of games that LucasArts was like publishing at the time.
Yeah.
And I just had a lot of fun playing this in co-op, and trying to get our characters leveled up and stuff. And I was always a spear guy. I had the spear dude.
Nice.
There's also of course
range.
there's like different heights in the terrain, as you could see. Like you had like so you could like plan out whole tactics on how to have advantages and stuff. And like you collect a whole roster of fighters. You could also like recruit new fighters and stuff. So it was really in depth for just a random strategy game from LucasArts.
Yeah.
But yeah, and music is great too. It's like a little bit orchestrated kind of music. I don't know. It had a very cool vibe to it as well. And I just enjoyed this game a lot. I just played it a lot. It was one of those things where, okay, let's try this game, and then it's like 5 hours later. Like, because it's very satisfying to get a fight right, and especially playing a co-op where you feel like you're a team and doing these fights. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Yeah,
there's not a lot of tactical games like this that do that.
No, exactly. And I was like thinking,
kind of unique.
I was thinking about it like with XCOM coming back now, having a few games that are very popular. I would just wish that this game would have been picked up as well, and repurposed and remastered or remade or sequel or whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
So this is always one of those titles that I will name when like someone asks on the internet, what game would you like to see a remaster or a remake of? And I was like, yep, Gladius, put it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to say something else, but I forgot.
No. It happens.
Yeah, good game. Oh yeah, that was what I was going to say. It's backwards compatible on Xbox, so if you get a copy, you can play it in high resolution. And I haven't tried it yet, but it should be fine, I guess. You can play it on any modern Xbox if you have the original disc. So
that's good. That's good to know. Yeah.
If anyone wants to pick it up.
And it's a cheap game, even for retro gamers, so you can get it for like $10.
Yeah. It's not one of those rare games that is super expensive, and
No.
like it's you usually find it in the bargain bins if if a store still has like a collection of Xbox games, then you'll find it there, definitely.
Okay,
cool,
awesome. All right. Well, speaking of remasters, we have a segue. I really want to see a remaster of Muramasa: The Demon Blade.
I remember that title.
Yeah, it came out for the Wii first, and it's a Vanillaware game, which is because Vanillaware is pretty popular for their side-scrolling 2D platform hack and slash games. Games, well, sort of similar. They have the side-scrolling beat 'em up Dragon Crown,
Odin Sphere.
They have Odin Sphere.
13 Sentinels.
Yeah, 13 Sentinels was more of like an RPG, right?
Yeah,
so I haven't tried that one yet, but yeah. But 13 Sentinels is one of their latest games. But Dragon Crown came out for the PlayStation Vita, and it came out for the PlayStation 4. Muramasa came out for the Wii and the PlayStation Vita. I played it a lot on both, but it never got a release on the PlayStation 4 or maybe 5. So I would love to see a new version of that on the Switch and on the PlayStation 4, maybe even PC. I don't know, because it's a really good hack and slash game that lots of puzzles, sort of Metroidvania like in that sense. You have to find the right powers, the right swords, to get through certain barriers, and the art style is just really great, and the story is good, and it's challenging. You can make awesome combos. The food is because you can get special powers from food, certain recipes, but the food looks really good when
it's
shown.
one of those. Yeah,
it's one of those games. Yep.
Yeah.
So, but I, like I said, the art style is amazing. You have two different characters that you can play with, and both play a bit differently, a bit different with weapons, and both have their own story. So if you want to play the full game, you have to replay some stuff.
Oh, okay.
So there's multiple endings.
All right. That keeps the replayability a bit higher. Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
It's a game that I would love to see remade with better graphics and just
you just clean it up. They don't have to change the graphics. Just clean it up.
Yeah,
that's
clean
it.
it up a lot. Better graphics, not new graphics, but better, more sharper graphics.
It reminds me a bit of the
less muddy.
There was a game like this with a little bit of the similar art style that was made by one dev that was on Steam. I don't remember the name. It kind of reminds me of it.
What you mean? Yeah.
But
Blood Snow, was that the one?
Sorry?
Blood Snow, something like that.
No, I don't know. I don't remember. But that's what it reminded me of. Like the kind of graphic style this has. It just reminded me of that. It was made by one dev, and it kind of the combat looked like really similar as well.
Right. Yeah.
But it looks neat. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's very neat. It's also filled with yokai. So that's
Japanese spirits.
Yeah, Japanese spirits. Like spirit, fox spirit, of course, and yes, kitsune, I think it's called, and just fun characters, and weird bosses, and a good art style. Yeah.
Cool.
So next up is you again, Benjiro.
My final game, I have to I'm gonna do an honorable mention for Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed. I'm not going to talk long about it. It's a great game. It's so much fun. I played it on Wii U. I still have it installed on my PC to this day, and I played it, weekly on the Steam Deck. So such a fun game, but unfortunately Super Digital got bought up, and I'm not expecting another Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed game out of them, which is unfortunate because it was definitely a good game. But that's an honorable mention. The game I actually want to talk about is Artifact. So Valve had a card game, and it was based on Dota. It was actually really, really fun. The problem with that card game, though, was that nobody got how to play it, and people got frustrated with it. They tried to reinvent the game, which never worked out, and that basically killed it.
Sad. I remember this being a very big deal when it was announced, or it was like a debate, or I don't know, like there was something with the announcement. I'm not sure what was it.
People didn't like the announcement because they basically showed up like a Dota thing, and then it turned out to be a card game, and people hated the fact that happened. So the problem with this card game is that it had a big component that was just completely random. Like you would have your heroes. First of all, you have to keep track of 3 boards. So you have a board to your left, in the middle, and to your right. And you have to keep track on all of them, because you have to at least win 2. Okay. If you win 2 of the 3 boards, you won the game. So the problem was that people had a hard time keeping track of all of them, because there's like a bunch of stuff going on at the same time. Also, the game would decide how your characters would attack. Sometimes they would attack straight ahead, or they would attack to their left, to their right, because there would be random arrows. So there was obviously there was a form of strategy there, but there was also a big problem with just RNG. If you your characters decided to be idiots and attack the wrong stuff, you would just lose, and that frustrated a lot of people. The other aspect is that people could actually buy and sell the cards on the marketplace. So people started going for the exact same cards, and everybody started to build the same deck.
Okay.
That kind of killed it, unfortunately. So they tried to they made it free to play for everyone, because you had to buy in. It was like a $20 game, which is kind of ballsy, even for Valve, because Hearthstone was free to play. Most of these other card games, Gwent is free to play, are just you don't have to pay up front. You pay with packs and stuff like that. And they were like, no, you don't have to pay for packs. You just if you buy the game, you're gonna get a few packs, and you can either sell those on the marketplace, get the stuff you want, that way. Right. So the game died within probably a few weeks. Like it spiked. It did well for the first 2 weeks, and after that, just no one played it anymore. And they tried to breathe life in it. They made this one free to play. Everybody could get a refund, and then they made Artifact Foundry, which was going to be a follow-up, and you can still play that for free to this day, and it still has placeholder art. Wow. Because they never finished the cards. So there are just some cards with like paint looking looking cards, like stuff they just gobble up in 2 seconds. And this card does this, and it's supposed to be this hero, but it was like absolutely just placeholder art.
Interesting.
And early 2020, I think they announced that they would cease development on Artifact, and that's basically when the game died. And I still have over 400 cards in my inventory that will never ever sell.
Yeah, that's a damn shame. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the way the Valve works, unfortunately. So yeah, it's a very different kind of way they handle the business.
Yeah,
when it comes to making games and stuff. Yeah.
So unfortunately, this game just wasn't meant to be. And I remember that I was playing this, and I think you came over, Fosh, and I played it for the entire evening.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Even though
You
you
really
came
enjoyed it.
over, I was
that's
having a
fine.
lot of fun with
No,
that.
I was kind of interested in the game as
Yeah.
well
But
at the time. So yeah.
it wasn't meant to be.
No.
So maybe one day we're gonna get a good card game out of Valve. But
Yeah, maybe.
this wasn't it. I'm a sucker for card games anyway. I played Hearthstone very intensely until they started to kill my wallet because they started releasing new shit every 2 days.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this just didn't work out. So that's the final game for me. I wanted to just highlight Artifact and obviously Sonic All Stars Racing.
It had a lot of potential, I think.
It did if they got the monetization right, and I think that's where they screwed up.
Support, yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, just a slight interjection. You were also playing Vampire Survivors when I came around one day, so yeah. Which
I was?
sold me, which kind of sold me on the game, so that's okay.
I don't remember.
Oh,
I might have.
a while back. Yeah. So
okay.
But I think I was when it was still in beta. So yeah.
Yeah, I was fairly early. I think Mets was a little earlier though.
Yeah.
But
it did kind of sell me on the game eventually. So.
But we're not talking about Vampire Survivors.
No. Just to highlight that, when I come around, sometimes you would be playing a game. So.
Yeah. Okay, so
that's totally cool.
That was my final game.
Okay.
All right, Matt, your final one.
My final game is a racing game this time, and I think it's not that underground. I think a lot of people have heard about this one.
I don't know.
Blur.
That's just a Blur to me. That's why I didn't want to talk about Sonic, because Blur is kind of the same thing.
Well, not really, because I do remember. Sorry, I'm not on screen. I had to turn on the light. But I do remember Blur when it came out. I think it came out around the same time as Split Second.
It did. They nearly released back to back. I remember we got the reviews in on the same, basically on the same day. And they were both released by the same publisher. No, they weren't.
Split Second was Sega, I think.
It might have been. This one was Namco, wasn't it?
Activision.
Oh, it was Activision.
Okay. Yeah. This was developed by Bizarre Creations, who were developers on the Gotham Racing series for Xbox. And they made Blur, which is basically Mario Kart, but with a more realistic car garage, models, basically. Yep. And it was really, really fun.
It was good.
It looked good. It has all the fancy stuff that you now saw in the new Need for Speed. All those visuals that they have in the new Need for Speed. That basically what Blur already did then. And yeah, it was basically just Mario Kart. You picked up your power-ups on the way. You could store them. Like behind your car, you see 3 icons where you can store your power-ups.
Yep.
And you can switch between them, so you can decide which one you use at what time. And that was basically the basic premise. The single player I played the most. It was just really fun to go through all the races and try to get wins. And yes, it wasn't just like hitting someone with a shell like in Mario Kart and they would be knocked out. You had these shots, 3 shots that you could fire with the purple power up, which would instead of knocking out a car, it would bring it off balance.
Oh.
So you could, if you timed that right, you would you could just find the right opportunity to make people slide out of the corner. And there was of course there's a speed boost, and instead of blue shell, which homes in on the first player, you had this sort of thunderstorm thing that creates these pillars of electricity that you had to kind of dodge. So that was really interesting.
Lightning bolts.
Yeah. And also your car could be destroyed completely. So you actually had a life bar on your car, which you could. I think there was also healing power-ups.
Yeah, there was the wrench. If you grab the wrench, you could heal your car.
Yeah. But yeah, basically, really good game. It was on Xbox. I think it was on PlayStation, and it was on PC as well. I'm not sure if you can buy it digitally anymore.
You can't.
I don't think so, because licensing.
That's a problem with these.
Yeah. I think it also uses real cars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why the license expired. The license
Yeah.
expired for those car manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
Lots of red
wouldn't
flags.
it be something if Turn 10 would make a new game?
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, I like arcade racers.
Yes. And I was always a bigger fan of these types of racing games, opposed to like games like Forza or
Mhm.
Gran Turismo. I always liked the fun racers, and this was like almost like an in between, because
Right.
you had like the little bit more realistic, not really realistic, but you had to like really try to race,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't carts that would turn on a dime or anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was a very cool visual style to it. Music was good as well, and it was just really fun. And I was playing this on split screen on the Xbox as well with friends and having a blast. So
Yeah. I can get
yeah,
that. Yeah.
and then it just died. Like a lot of these,
Yeah.
it's
It
like
didn't.
these weird beloved games that just
Mhm.
vanish because
I
of
think that,
licensing issues or whatever.
yeah, I think that entire generation, I missed games like MotorStorm.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Which
Split
I
Second was a lot of
recently
fun
bought
too.
a few of those as well
Nice.
because
Nice. Yeah.
I missed games like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. And I have to rectify something because I said Split Second was from Sega, but it's actually Walt Disney Company.
Well,
Oh, it was
Disney,
Walt Disney
right?
indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It was a Walt Disney game. So that
Yeah.
was very interesting. But yeah, Blur is definitely one game I kind of always wanted to pick up on the PlayStation. I
Yeah.
never did.
I reviewed it. I got the review copy.
Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah, I have a Xbox 360 version, and I had
Hmm.
a PC version somewhere as well, I think.
Right.
But yeah, it's really hard to get. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a shame. And of course, you can still get the Xbox version. I'm not sure how rare it is nowadays, actually.
I have no idea. I need to look that up.
That's something I have to look up. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great game. It still looks great today as well.
If you're looking for something similar, I do know that today on May the 19th, Lego 2K Drive came out.
Oh right, yeah. I think
And it looks
that was
really
one of
fun.
those games that came out of nowhere as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was
Lego.
announced a couple of
Yeah.
a while back, but I saw some people stream it, and it looked a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah.
Same with the powers, but this and your car can be destroyed. So because of
Oh
course,
right.
bricks.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
but it
build your
doesn't
own
have the
cars.
same aesthetic.
No,
That's
it's
the
not
problem.
real cars, of course, but
It's another card game.
like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
another car game, so it's kind of similar to Mario Kart, but also with an open world.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's a lot of story.
Yeah,
and
I
lots
think I
of
played the original Lego Racers game on
Yeah.
PC back then,
Mhm.
which I actually had a lot of fun with as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, so this one might interest you as well.
Lego
Yeah.
Racers
Yeah.
kind of aged poorly, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember just yeah.
Yeah, this new one, I saw some cutscenes because there's also story cutscenes, and it has very much the Lego movie style aesthetic.
Oh right.
It
Yeah.
looks really good. So,
Yeah. I love that style. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Blur. Sad that it's another one that's axed. There's more games like this, but I think Blur was for me personally one of those that really stood out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Microsoft might bring it back if the deal goes through, because Phil Spencer said a while back. Of course, we talked about it earlier that they were very much interested in bringing back old games that Activision published.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, there was a lot. Immediately, a lot of people were shouting all sorts of titles that could potentially come back. So
Yeah, and the way things are going right now, here's a segue. Yeah, the deal might even go through, despite the CMA potentially blocking it, and the FTC not really big fans of the consolidation of the industry. But because both the EU and China today, well, EU last week, but China today also said that you were fine with the deal.
yeah,
So they're allowing
really
it to pass
interesting.
through. And yeah, there's some interesting stuff because China has no remedies. No
remediation. No
Yeah.
remediating
circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
requests.
Yeah. And but the EU has some. So
Just one, though. Just one.
yeah, for the cloud stuff.
Yeah, they need the Activision Blizzard stuff to appear on any other cloud platform. And the license should be perpetual and free. Not free.
Yeah.
So
number 3. Yeah.
yeah, so if that's basically means that if Microsoft would put it on something like Game Pass, specifically for streaming though, so if they would put it on Game Pass that you would still have to download it, that might be a bit of a gray area. But if they would put it on Xbox Cloud, they would be required to put it anywhere else within Europe. Obviously, that doesn't go for.
Well,
No, technically the remediation is just for Europe, but
True.
Microsoft said we're just gonna do that globally, and that's basically to appease the CMA and stuff like that.
Well, the CMA isn't really happy with it.
No, the CMA is throwing feces at the EU committee and the other way around as well. So they're not happy with each other right now, but that's not something that Microsoft is concerned about.
Gaming monkeys everywhere.
Yeah.
Damn chimps.
The thing is, the CMA put out some numbers directly after the EU, thing that came out, and they were made fun of a lot because of those numbers. Because those numbers were they were incorrect.
Yeah, they included the Game Pass subscribers, which are not necessarily a one-for-one translation to cloud-based users. So that's where they made a mistake.
And even their own parliament had a lot of questions about this.
Yes, so there's a chance that the block will be overturned in court, but we'll see. That's just.
It might take a while though.
Usually, those hearings will take up for 4 to 8 months before they take place.
Yeah, and there was another case where the CMA made a lot of mistakes, and the CAT, I'm not sure what it actually stands for. I keep forgetting, but it's another authority that can override the CMA. But it took 2 years for that particular case, which cost a lot of money.
Yeah, but
to overturn. So
apparently, what I read is that as of next week, Microsoft and Activision can just close without the need for the CMA.
True. But they can't really do business that way. So they have to find a way around it. Yeah. In the UK.
In the UK, they could still work as 2 subsidiaries, but they can close otherwise. Anyway, they probably won't do that, but they technically don't have to wait anymore.
The only thing that can really block it is the FTC, but they don't have a lot of good reasons for that. So they might stop. Microsoft has a good chance that will go through there as well if they go through a judge. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
it's going to be very interesting in that case.
So we'll see how that goes. It's an interesting story, and I think it's gonna be good if Microsoft actually gets it. Even though I'm more akin to PC and PlayStation. I'm not really into the whole Xbox.
Yeah, because there's not much there right now.
There's not. That might change. Redfall wasn't it? That's for sure.
Yeah. Such a shame. I mean, I would love to play a game like that with not just zombies again, but
basically zombies.
Yeah.
Undead.
Well, their AI was.
Yeah, the AI was dead.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, I think that's this week's show, right?
I do have
might be some things still, because next week we're gonna have the PlayStation presentation, which gonna be
yes, that's true.
Holy crap!
Yeah, that's basically their summer game stuff, their E3 stuff, I guess.
Yeah,
it's kind of early though.
Yeah,
it's a week earlier.
We'll see. I hope there's some PSVR stuff because I'm having a hard time getting software.
Yeah.
I've been looking at their store and I like my PSVR too, but the only thing I'm currently playing is what is it called again? No, it's the gun game.
Oh, Pistol Whip?
Yeah, Pistol Whip. That's all I'm playing. Like literally, it's a headset with a game I could play on PC 2 years ago. It's kind of dumb.
True.
So yeah.
But have you played Humanity yet? Because that's
No, because I don't feel like spending that amount of money on a puzzle game that doesn't look that appealing to me.
But you have PlayStation Plus, right?
Is it on Plus?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't check
You can
it
play
yet.
it for free.
I might check it out this week then. I do have Plus, but I didn't check if it was on Plus.
Yeah, you got
It's weird because I checked Plus this week and it didn't say there were any new releases available. So it might not be there yet.
Because no, everything is there. Bethesda, they added a lot of Bethesda games, like Ghostwire Tokyo as well.
Yeah, but I have that one on disc, so I didn't really care.
Yeah, true.
But okay, I'll check it out. I might have missed it, so I'll check it out over the weekend probably, and we can talk about it next week. But we'll see.
And we can also talk about the stuff from the PlayStation Showcase.
Yeah, I'm just saying that PSVR. Apparently, Jim had an interview with Famitsu. And they were really happy with where the PSVR was right now and the positive reaction. But yeah, I'm not really sure because the software just isn't there.
It's very quiet again.
Yeah. Like even something simple like Beat Saber would be fantastic to have on the system. Even though Beat Saber on PC is, infinitely better because it's moddable and you can have your own songs. Having it on PlayStation is, at least in its basic state, is something.
Yeah. But it's not out yet. They're still working on it, I think.
Pistol Whip is okay, but Call of the Mountain is like it's like a 3 or 4 hour experience. After that, you're kind of done with it. It just shows you, it's like an expensive and extensive tech demo. Right. I need like a real game. That's what I'm feeling. Like I need something to make me feel like that purchase was worth it. And right now I don't feel that way. So
you need an Alex.
We'll see. I need an Alex, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there are some games already announced that are coming, but it's gonna take a while, unfortunately. What I do know is that PlayStation VR 2 is now available at the stores instead of just through the Sony website.
Yeah, they did that to stop scalpers, but I don't think scalpers were really interested in a VR headset.
Fuck that shit.
That's kind of true.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's no software there, and the same goes for the Xbox, unfortunately.
Yeah. But the Xbox, PlayStation in general, the PS5 has plenty of software. You can play plenty of games, but the headset in general it doesn't have anything. I think Microsoft has a bigger issue because their Xbox has absolutely nothing appealing, and I think that's a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
have to go big this summer.
Yeah,
they do.
Have to go big.
And they have to go fast. Like they can't be like, this stuff is coming in 2025 because that's going to be too late. They need stuff now.
100%.
Yeah. Also, just a little breaking news update. I'm gonna keep it really short.
That's fine.
It's very small. Cliff Bleszinski just announced that he's talking with a friend of his who has his own game studio about bringing back Lawbreakers.
He was talking about that a few weeks ago, actually.
He was talking about...
And then last week he bamboozled me because last week he was like, "Okay, guys, I have an announcement on Saturday." I'm like, here comes Lawbreaker, and it's a freaking Broadway play with Britney Spears music. Yeah. So that wasn't really what I was looking for, but
yeah, he does that too nowadays. So if he ever does announcements, then you have to also expect that in the field as well.
Wow. Yeah. That's a good troll.
But that's just a little thing. Like they're negotiating right now, so that's very interesting because
it's a smart move right now because Overwatch 2 kind of failing.
Yes,
TV stuff. That's also pretty big news this week.
And it's very big on movement. You see all those Call of Duty players doing that weird duck jump trick all the time. That's like going around the internet. Those kids might be really interested in something like that because like movement shooters are now this little like hype thing that's going on. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But they could cut in with that. So
they had to compete with Overwatch before, and Overwatch just it's there, but it's not as big of a thing as it was back when it first released. Overwatch 2 is Well, kind of a downer. I haven't played it at all. Like
No.
we used to play the first
A lot.
one a lot. We did compilation videos for that.
Yep.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
got me copyright strike many times.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because Matt really likes his movie music.
That was before that was before they went really hard on it. I think
There was
It
some
like a turning point.
there was some Iron Man 3 stuff in there, and that got hit hard.
Yeah.
But
like
Might have-
if you look at my
might have
YouTube channel,
been
it's
music.
horrible.
Yeah.
It's like that's all demonetized. Like,
Wow.
yeah, I just want to
Disney.
use my music. Goddamn.
I know
Yeah.
you have like this extensive library of stuff that you want to use, and
Yeah, and you can't use it because it's
Yeah.
copyright.
You should
Yeah.
just use
Yeah.
license-free music, but
Yeah, that sounds
it's-
like crap.
yeah, that it does. A lot
so
of things.
some of it does. So some of it is good.
That's-
The-
that's
our intro music that we use on this show is actually license-free music.
nice.
So yeah,
Nice. Yeah.
I do use some.
Mhm.
Okay.
I wanted to say something,
Okay.
but now I have that issue because I still wanted to say something, but I don't know what.
Oh, it's gotta
Oh,
hang in there.
you still need to do your outro. So yeah, you still
Yeah,
definitely still have to say something.
I can postpone that a bit, but no. I was thinking because we were talking about Lawbreakers and Overwatch and movement shooters. I want a new Titanfall. Like,
A
I
new
really
title.
like-
I think a lot of people want that. actually.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're gonna
Titanfall
do that.
got done dirty.
Yeah.
It deserves a lot more. It's not a game that I want
They
to put on the list.
always
Yeah.
got released at like the worst possible time.
Yeah, Respawn made a really bad choice there.
I don't think it's
It was their own
Respawn. I
doing.
think it's
No,
EA that actually
no.
ruined that.
They said it was their own doing.
Seriously?
Yep. It was their own mistake.
Well, now they make Star Wars games, so I'm not
Yeah,
really
that's
sure they're
fine.
going back to.
And the new Star Wars uses a lot of the same movements, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, Respawn is just very
Okay.
talented. They can do a lot
Yeah.
of things, but I don't know. Titanfall 3, I'm not sure if that's gonna happen.
I'm very much in doubt myself.
Titanfall 2 sold fairly poorly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And then it went for
Unfortunately.
Apex, but
Yeah.
Apex did well for them a lot.
Yeah, but it's a free to play battle
Mhm.
royale that attracted a lot of people.
Yep.
But yeah, they could do that. I mean, that at least created momentum for the franchise, so
Mm-hmm.
it's still there.
I always forget that Apex is theirs. But yeah, Apex is huge, but it's its own beast. It has its own development studio. It's or at least team, not studio, but its own team.
Yeah.
That are dedicated on balancing and creating new characters and maps and keeping that game alive. So
And running on the Source engine, which that's always funny to me. Think about
It
little
does.
technical. Yeah, it runs on Source. Half-Life
What?
2 Source engine, actually. They expanded it, stretched it a lot,
Yeah.
but it's on Source. With
Wow.
all engines. Yeah.
I never knew that. to be
Yeah. Little detail.
honest. Yeah. Huh. Well,
Yeah.
that's cool. All right. Well, with that though, I think we're at the end, of course. Bajir already said it, but I kind of
It's now there.
owned it. But yeah, that means that Benjiro, what are your plans for next week?
next week, more concerned about the next 10 minutes. I really need to go to the bathroom. But next week,
We can postpone the outro. but
no,
we
it's
can do it right
fine.
now.
It's fine.
Do it.
It's fine. I'll manage. I'll manage.
Okay.
Next week, I'm not really sure. I might stream, but I'm not gonna tie myself up to that because I'm not really sure. I'm gonna play more Zelda. There's the Street Fighter beta that I'm really looking forward to checking out. I need to train with my daughter because she wants to walk 5 miles for 4 days straight, which is in 2 weeks. So I'm gonna have to do that, which is terrible.
No podcast in 2 weeks then.
Or we have to move it to the Saturday because I'll be walking on Friday. So yeah,
Right.
it's gonna be a weird podcast if I'm gonna do it from line with like hundreds of kids. It's not gonna work.
Nope.
So yeah, so we might have to change that, but that's like the week after next.
Right.
Other than that, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do. Probably some more. Some more Final Fantasy. I'm really looking at finishing that game up before Final Fantasy 16 hits, which is also fairly shortly. Then next week, a few cool games are coming out. Actually, Street Fighter being one of them.
Yep.
Looking forward to checking out Mortal Kombat. I know we didn't discuss it here. We're not going to show it here because it's a little gruesome, but I'm kind of excited about that one. So
the new Mortal Kombat stuff. Yep.
There's some interesting leaks. So
Oh yeah, I saw that happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fire God stuff. It's very interesting. Yep.
24 hours after the trailer released.
yeah, and the cameo stuff, like the cameo fighters, which is obviously with a K.
Kombat Pack 1. Thanks to Amazon Australia, I think, right?
Yeah, they kind of whiffed it.
So
that's it for me. Just more games. We might be streaming. We'll see. Diablo is also coming out in 2 weeks. Man, there's a lot of good stuff coming down the line.
Yeah, in June, which is surprising.
It's literally in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Unfortunately, I'll be walking by then, so I can't play the game. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, so Matt's what?
What's yours?
Me. I'm going to be continuing my games that I've been talking about in the beginning, like Mario Galaxy 2. Probably finishing up. I don't know. I think is it another 150 stars? I'm not sure.
No idea.
I think it is.
But, yeah. Right. Well, we'll see how far I can get in the few sessions. I'll be watching Wednesday the PlayStation thing. It's at 10 p.m. our time, I think. It's on Wednesday, right?
It's a Thursday. It's Wednesday. It's the 24th.
Buddy, you can get a total of 242 stars in Mario Galaxy 2.
240? Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'll be playing Mario Galaxy for a few weeks now.
Yeah.
So besides that, I will be playing more Hrot. I don't know how it's pronounced. The boomer shooter.
Yes.
I don't know. We'll see. Whatever. I'm planning on this summer playing more Zelda games. I'm gonna do like lots of Nintendo stuff for my summer vacation, which is probably around end of June. So that's future stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. I always just pick up whatever I want. So, but yeah, those are the main games that I will be playing, and on stream tomorrow and Sunday as well, probably. Yeah.
Is your Wii U gamepad working correctly? Because mine isn't. I have 2 Wii U's, and the gamepads just constantly disconnect.
Okay. I have no problems with it, but I've been playing a lot of Wii, of course, because Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 are Wii games. So
yeah, that's Bluetooth. The problem is that it uses Wi-Fi 5G connections, and that's basically our standard nowadays for Wi-Fi. Okay. So it gets a lot of interference, and I have like 6 access points in my house, so it constantly disconnects.
Okay. And I don't have that problem, I think. So.
No, the Wii game, the Wii mode things are actually based on Bluetooth, so that's why they keep working. So I'm wondering how your gamepad is doing, because apparently
mine and see if it still works.
I played some Mario Maker and I didn't have any problems, so
that's good.
I guess I'm good.
Yeah. You don't have Wi-Fi gremlins.
I got Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD
I know.
remasters.
I've seen the picture. So. I can't wait for you to play them. Those are great.
Yeah. I played Wind Waker and Twilight Princess before. I never finished them, but I do remember. I do have the GameCube version of Wind Waker, and I have the Wii version of Twilight Princess. Yeah. But I wanted the shiny new versions of it. So.
Yeah. What's funny is that I was reminded today that Breath of the Wild also came out on Wii U.
It did, yeah.
That's the version I have.
It was a dual release.
Yeah, and actually, I think someone said that the game performs better in certain parts on the Wii U than the Switch version. I don't know if that's true, but someone said that.
I think it was true in the beginning, but they ironed it out with patches.
Oh, they patched it out. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Right. Okay, so yeah, if I'm gonna play Wii U as well.
Kind of lost you there, but okay.
Yeah,
that's
no. The sound just cut out for me just a little bit.
Oh yeah, I had that a few times too today, but I just ignore it.
Okay. I'm probably going to continue with Neo: The World Ends With You. Also been playing a lot of Team Hospital, 2 Point Campus. I'm actually at the last level of that, so just need 2 more stars, and then I have it all 36 stars.
Nice. I
But,
picked that game up on PlayStation for $15.
Yeah, yeah.
$15. That's it.
I prefer the PC version, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
Physical for 15. I couldn't say no, man.
Oh, of course. I might pick it up as well for the PlayStation 4. So
Also, you're very blurry, Benjiro. I think
Yeah.
you're.
Oh, it's because of my mic. There we go.
Oh, okay. There he is.
it happens. It happens. I'm also, pushing back into the background again. It seems it happens. It's not perfect, the Discord stuff. But anyway, so that's what I'm probably gonna do. Might finally start with Front Mission first, the remake. Front Mission 1, the remake that I have on Switch, which is also apparently coming out on PlayStation 4 for those interested. The
Which one?
trophies, Front Mission 1, the remake.
Okay.
Because apparently the trophies appeared somewhere in a database for that game, so it's almost definitely coming to PlayStation 4, which means that all Front Missions will be coming to PlayStation 4 as well.
Interesting.
Because they're working on remakes for 2 and 3, and yeah, if you want tactical RPGs with big mechs, that is an interesting title. The music was really good, so that's the only thing I did so far. Check out the music.
Okay.
But, yeah, maybe some other games, but I can't really talk about them right now, so not too far into them. So that's it for me. So where can they find you, Benjiro?
They can find me on Twitter at Pixels Sprites, and I've been a little bit more active on Twitter, making some friends, making definitely some enemies on the emulation and pirating.
Yep.
Oh
part.
gosh.
I got some really mean DMs.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was basically calling out Ryujinx, which is a Switch emulator, because they were boasting like, we can run Tears of the Kingdom on 4K, and I responded to those people like, okay guys, you're basically just promoting piracy now. Thanks. I don't think that's what you should do as a company. I'm all for emulation if it's about the preservation of games, but not if it's promoting piracy. And I got some really mean-spirited DMs out of that.
Wow.
Oh yeah, so some people were, and so some other people were just, they blatantly said they were pirates, and yo ho to them, yo ho to them. But so some people got really mean spirited.
Yeah,
it made me happy.
It's like yes,
yes, I got them. I got under their skin.
Yeah. So what's your Twitter handle?
So that was the Twitter handle. At Pixels Sprites. Yeah, I did say. You can find me on Twitch right here on this channel, which is Pixels and Sprites, or twitch.tv/Pixels and Sprites. And you can find me on YouTube, which is, well, basically Pixels and Sprites on YouTube. You can find it. Just go to my Twitch, because YouTube doesn't really do the handle thing correctly. There's like a bunch of weird numbers behind it. And you can find this podcast over on Pixels and Sprites Live. Just look for the podcast there, and you'll be able to watch this podcast over there.
Platforms for just Spotify, or
where the audio podcast is over on Spotify, Apple, and I think it's also on Amazon and Google. And then it's on it used to be Anchor, but now it's just podcast.spotify. So that's one thing now.
Yeah.
And I think that's it for our audio side of things. So the video podcast will be live on Monday, and the audio usually goes live somewhere Wednesday evening.
Yeah, might be earlier. We don't know. So depends on how good I'm at editing this week. So
I usually don't edit the video things. I just cut out the fat, and that's it.
I know.
Okay, so Posh, how about yourself, buddy? Where can people find you?
Well, I'm only active on Twitter right now at PVBikun. So PVBAIKUN. And other than, I don't have any other places right now. I don't do a lot of, I am on Instagram, but I don't do a lot of stuff there. So mostly on Twitter. And for now, because it's getting worse and worse. So we'll see how it goes. I might try and see if I can get an invite to Blue Sky, but see if that's any better. But there's a lot of stuff going on, and I don't really like it.
How about we move over to Kick, guys? How do we feel about that?
Oh no! Stay away from Kick. It's bad. It's really bad.
Oh God.
Yeah. Good joke
Yeah.
though. Yeah, and finally, Metzman, where can they find you?
Yeah, for the video viewers, it's below my name. It's at the Metzman, TheMetzman. That's where you find all my stuff. I announce my streams there and do discussions and stuff, and I post stuff. So that's my main line of communication with the internets.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thanks a lot again. Not again, just thanks a lot. Thanks. Wow.
Why not again?
I really flopped there. Why not again? Because this is the first time I'm thanking you guys for being here.
Oh,
Right? That makes sense, right? I think. Yeah.
We got a
Okay.
participation trophy. That's nice.
Yeah. We participated in another week of the podcast.
yay!
Woohoo! Yay us! Do we get medals
No,
for that? Ribbons? I don't know.
bad. Just angry DMs. Just angry
Oh
DMs.
yeah, yeah. No, that's just Benjiro getting the angry DMs. Luckily, so I don't get any DMs.
I
at
need
all.
more. Send them to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I need
Don't
more.
challenge them.
Yeah. No.
Feed the
Okay.
flames.
All right.
Okay, guys.
That's it for this week.
Have a
It's been
great week.
fun. And yeah, have a great week indeed. And take care.
All right.
Bye bye.
Later.